When the sun goes down and renewable energy costs more, pumped hydro would release the water to the lower reservoir and sell the energy for profit. And all that junk mail you get can be recycled. The general rule for paper, if you can rip it, you can recycle it. Pelicans breed up by Canada, North and South Dakota, and Montana, and they migrate to the Gulf of Mexico. But I found out that more of these birds are wintering in Arizona because we offer prime living conditions. I'm at Butler Park right now in Austin, Texas, where Bernie Sanders is scheduled to be later tonight for a rally. As you can see, doors open at 3 p.m., but hundreds of his supporters are already lining up to hear him speak. The president is journeying west this week for a mixture of political and official events and to counter-program his potential Democratic rivals as they convene in Nevada. The Arizona Game and Fish Department has a tight hold on hunting privileges. The elk population completely determines how many hunters are allowed into Unit 1, which is 845 square miles and backs the Arizona-New Mexico border. Nearly all the ASU students who were in China for study abroad programs plan to return to the U.S. in light of concerns about the coronavirus outbreak. Volunteers are gathered today to help prepare the way for monarch butterflies by planting milkweed. But as I've learned today, milkweed is completely dependent on the correct amount of water. When a child is experiencing developmental difficulties, it can be challenging for parents to navigate the world of diagnoses and doctor's appointments. Democrats say that rolling back these clean car standards would be detrimental to the earth and our health, but the Trump administration is adamant that rolling back these standards would make cars and gas more affordable. Hundreds of people tuned in to hear the brothers' live reading of Mousetronaut on Instagram Live. The book was written by Mark Kelly, and he hopes the event pushes kids to read and pursue their dreams of space exploration. Hello, and welcome to this edition of Cronkite News to Go. I'm Melanie Porter. It's Thursday, April 16th, 2020. Here are your top stories from the Cronkite News team. Social distancing and staying at home may be driving you up the wall, but it could drive down your auto insurance premiums. Auto insurance claims have dropped 80 to 90% in major cities and 60% in rural areas within the last month with fewer cars on the road. Malcolm is a 6-year-old who lives in British Columbia, Canada. His dream is to become an astronaut.
Thinking about heading to space and building my own space rockets.
His family stumbled on Scott Kelly's documentary about his year in space, and they've been hooked on the children's books written by he and his brother, Mark Kelly. You can learn more about the stories you heard in today's update by going to cronkitenews.azpbs.org. You can also listen to all of our past briefings by checking out our page on SoundCloud. That's all for today's Cronkite News to Go. I'm Melanie Porter. We'll see you tomorrow with more stories from Cronkite News.
It's like I said, it looks like it's a shellac.
A delicacy found on the forest floor only a mushroom lover would treasure.
These usually you need like a saw.
The Arizona Mushroom Society has a mission to provide educational and scientific opportunities for members to learn about mushrooms in a hands-on environment.
Just blow the spores.
The society hosts dozens of workshops throughout the year.
It could turn out to be a 4-hour, 5-hour hot hike down the mountain.
Members also have the opportunity to trek to areas across Arizona to look for precious fungi.
It's the adult idea of a Easter egg hunt.
Mushrooms can be used in teas, broths, and medicinal remedies.
These are bioluminescent.
But it takes a careful eye to determine which are poisonous and which are safe to eat. This group knows enough about mushroom species to understand not to eat them before they're properly identified.
This one, I believe we are calling Brucella atroglauca.
And these mushrooms also bring balance to the forest.
The ecosystem, we need them. Mushrooms, just like the bees need the flowers. You know, the mushrooms provide the mycelium of the mushrooms for the trees.
Fabian Monhay is a foray leader for the Arizona Mushroom Society, and he's seen firsthand how mushrooms reflect a changing climate.
Mushrooms are going to come and go with the season and how much rain we get. And we had a great winter. It could have been a very productive summer if it had continued, but you know, you can't have it both times.
And while these mushroom hunters see climate change happening locally, research shows that globally, fungi could adapt to the changing climate.
Beautiful.
One study from Spain found that wild mushrooms thrive when there are changes in temperatures and moisture across a growing season. In fact, they found climate change had no negative long-term effect on mushrooms. It actually helped produce more mushrooms by increasing their fruiting and growing season.
The underside of the gills are even brighter purple.
Based on the weather in this part of Arizona, foragers said this season was decent, but not the best.
Some years are definitely spottier than others. It has not been the juiciest year.
The study found that these forest gems do well in areas with more rain at the beginning of the season and warmer temperatures at the end, like some Arizona mountains.
Every monsoon season's different in different areas, but that time is a very small frame and a very small window.
Mushroom hunters are taking advantage of this window of opportunity by hitting the trails all around the state.
Delicacy.
They're hopeful that the mushroom crop will continue to be fruitful.
We're just hoping, that our season still is not over yet. When the temperatures start to drop, the mushrooms hide.
But they're prepared to say goodbye to these delicacies until next season. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Melanie Porter with Cronkite News in Tucson, Arizona.
Ta-da!
Malcolm is a 6-year-old living in British Columbia, Canada. His dream is to become an astronaut.
Thinking about heading to space and building my own space rockets.
His mom says that Malcolm's love for space started by reading books.
Grandma had picked him up this book of vehicle encyclopedia was, I think, what it was, and it had like the big Apollo rocket in it. And from that point on, he was like, I want to see that.
The family stumbled on Scott Kelly's documentary about his year in space and have been hooked on the children's books written by him and his brother, also an astronaut. Mousetronaut and My Journey to the Stars are among some of the books they've written. Hundreds of people tuned in to hear the brothers' live reading of Mousetronaut on Instagram Live. The book was written by Mark Kelly, and he hopes the event pushes kids to read and pursue their dreams of space exploration.
Kids get inspired by stories about space, and tends to be one of those careers that a lot of little people are very interested in. So hopefully this will give them a little bit more inspiration and also give the parents a little bit of a break.
NASA is sending along some special guests.
He knows that space can be a unifying factor during stressful times.
My 4 trips to space is I've looked at the planet from outside, from inside the spacecraft, but looked at Earth. You really get this strong sense how we are all in this together.
And he hopes that kids like Malcolm will see that space exploration is just one flight away. Melanie Porter, Cronkite News.
All the astronauts cheer and applaud.